one of the things that, or many of times when we're in a home, we're shown items and we have to figure out, should this be a donate? Should this be a toss? Should this be incorporated in the design? And it takes time. And we need to have the knowledge and the resources. We worked on a particular house, and the woman had been a seamstress. And sometimes what takes up an awful lot of time is trying to figure out what to do with the items that have value to the homeowner. And when I mean value, I don't necessarily mean financial. I mean more emotional. So we want to be able to look at a Singer sewing machine and say, okay, is this an antique? And does the homeowner want it incorporated back into the space? And if the answer is yes, well, obviously we wouldn't want the Singer sewing machine to go back into the home looking the way it is on the left. We'd want to deal with, the people who can repurpose and refinish all kinds of products. So luckily we know folks like that. The item on the right, the sword, well, you know what? When we find out just how much money it's worth, the client will have a choice. Do they want to sell it, or do they want it up on that living room wall?
I think the other thing too is what is interesting is that I may look at that Singer sewing machine from a totally different perspective, and I may say, wow, there's some real family history here. So especially in a dwelling donate, discard, and design situation, I would think, why don't we just clean that up and maybe perhaps showcase it in a particular place in the home. And that's the kind of thing perhaps that, or the kind of way I would view it. And that might be just a whole different way of not even having to address it from a discarding perspective or a donating perspective, but frankly from kind of just a wonderful memory perspective. There's a lot of opportunity to use these kinds of items for decorative purposes, which creates a much more eclectic kind of space.
Yeah. And remember, these people aren't moving. These people are dwelling. So they're looking to us for solutions. And, as we age, the more homeowners I work in terms of getting up in their elder years, they've collected a lot of things from days gone by or from family members who passed. And it really hurts them to have to let go of these things if they mean something to them. So they really turn to professionals like us to discover, well, what am I going to be able to do with this? So, maybe there's that, going back to the sewing machine, and maybe it's a foot pedal one where the sewing machine is inside the cabinet. Well, you know what, maybe the sewing machine actually comes out of the innards and we turn that into a drawer and it becomes a beautiful table for the foyer, and it becomes the landing strip table. And because we're working together and we're realizing what these items bring to the homeowner, I know as an organizer that they don't want to let this piece go. But this piece at the moment is pretty ugly and dirty. So what are we going to do with it in order to incorporate it back into the space?
Okay, so here's another really great example. Jean Marie and I worked on this particular project. This happened to be a staging project, but this could easily work as a donate, discard, and design project. We discovered lots of wonderful treasures up in the attic. And so it was really a matter of, once again, coming together to be able to make some decisions. Surprisingly, those two amazing chairs we ended up using as part of the dining set, as opposed to having to discard them right at that moment. So there was a lot of wonderful creative ways to be able to do that. The table certainly was already there. We were able to add some more contemporary art, and all of a sudden we had this wonderful space. Actually, the carpet came out of the attic as well. So it was just a really great, simple way to be able to enhance the space, to make it inviting and wonderful. And then decisions, of course, would be made later in terms of how some of that stuff would either be used or, once again, discarded later on.
Yeah, so again, by putting the organizer and the redesigner together, once the clutter is gone, once the things that our homeowners do not love, do not use, do not need, and all the extraneous is out, you really start to see the gems and you realize what pieces are important. And then Bernadette, I mean, her talent to be able to go all over the house and pull things from different rooms into one area and kind of make it work. Things don't need to be matchy matchy anymore. And I don't have that talent as an organizer. I mean, I see the gems. I realize when, the discard part of the package is done, what's left is what they truly do love, but I don't know how to piece it together. If I had to put that dining room together, that is not at all what it would look like. So I'm all about the form and the function. I have to leave the beauty up to her.
And I'm laughing because it's so funny. I mean, sometimes you're going to be challenged. You're challenged by budget. You want them to invest in you to be able to provide your intellectual capital. So they may not necessarily have the budget, for example, to go out and buy a beautiful new dining room set. And they want to be able to, they're more eclectic in nature, or they just, that's just their personality. So I always like to say, when I do that, I always discover that, necessity is the mother of invention. And you do, in fact, find these very creative ways to, come up with solutions. And as you can see in this case, I think it came together pretty nicely.
Yeah, they're already spending money on us. They're not looking to put out any more greenery, if you will, and nor should they, because the homes, at least in northern New Jersey and the surrounding area, are full of items. So again, if you just shop the house, it's really not necessary. There's very few things in this particular package that we would ever ask a client to go out and purchase, unless they wanted to purchase something in particular. But everything's there.
And shopping the house doesn't necessarily mean, just from the design perspective. It really also is part of the organizing and systems perspective. There are a lot of wonderful pieces of smart furniture that may already exist that will allow for a space to become beautifully organized, but also stylishly so. So I think that that's what's so fun about taking on these kinds of projects together, is because we're able to understand and see and visualize what can be used, not just from a design perspective, but also from an organizing and function perspective.
Okay. All right. So, those were our revenue opportunities that we just spoke to. But earlier in the PowerPoint, we told you that there's also, marketing and networking opportunities. So here's just a few examples. You can link to each other's websites. Numerous times I've featured, Bernadette in my newsletter, which then, goes to my archival blogs and vice versa. We always carry each other's collateral materials. So we're in prospective homes, and they mention, I'd like to, I really, Jean Marie, what color do I paint this room? What kind of furniture do I buy? And I'm like, humming. You need to talk to my friend Bernadette, because I have no idea. So you can always, carry around each other's collateral materials and hand them out. You can host special events. I know Bernie and I are working on an event coming up this fall. We're going to do something together, and we'll invite, both our databases. So lots of opportunities for you to just be creative and think out of the box, whether you want to do, a realtor event, a design event, an organizing event. You can do classes together, maybe either in small businesses. And those are usually very well attended. And we always have before and after pictures, whether it's a hardcover book, whether it's on our laptops, but a picture does paint 1,000 words, and it's kind of hard to describe what we do. It's a lot easier to show somebody some pictures.
Okay, so why take this all on? I think, we've talked about it this morning periodically, and I think let's just kind of focus on some of the ways that and whys of taking something like this on. It certainly expands your level of expertise. That just kind of goes without being said. That you not only get how to care for your client from your own industry perspective, but also from someone else's. And it really allows you to speak intelligently. You're both viewed as the home expert. I think going in and doing these great kind of tandem consultations, these walk and talks are unbelievably effective. People just love it. And if you have a wonderful rapport with your strategic partner, it just is it's a great thing. You'll no doubt hear later, wow, you guys are so great together. I just felt that it was such a valuable time spent, and more importantly, money well spent. So I think that that's really, really exciting. There's less stress for the client. You truly are, when you walk in, and not only do you have your clipboard with your assessment sheet and all of the other wonderful items of value that you provide before you walk out that door, it really comes across as a higher end service experience. You really are really able to provide your client with that. And I think it's really, really valuable in order to be able to take that next step forward.
So learning and mentoring opportunities from each other professionally. And we talked about, it expands your level of expertise, but you do teach each other, but not only each other. Like, for example, I'm an organizer and Bernie's a stager and a redesigner, but Bernadette also is a member of NAPO, the National Association of Professional Organizers. I'm also a member of RISA, Real Estate Staging Association. Those learning and mentoring opportunities are tremendous on a month-to-month value system. It's also, we mentioned this before, it's a lot easier to work in pairs. It seems that when I am having any kind of a conundrum, all I have to do is give her a call, send her an email, send her a text, or show her a picture. And within 10 seconds, I feel like she's helped me come up with a solution to the problem. So, and when you are an entrepreneur, and I've spoken about this before, sometimes you feel like you're a castaway on your own island as an entrepreneur. But when you partner up with another professional, it becomes easier. I used to be in the corporate world, and it was, in many cases, before the corporate world was the dog eat world that it is today, it was a lot of fun, getting together at that water cooler, being in meetings with lots of people, because there's a lot of brainstorming that takes place. There's a lot of strategies. There's a lot of creativity. And you get that when you work in pairs, as if, and not alone. And then finally, you're adding other income streams to your current business. I still, of course, generate my main income from my organizing business, but whether I work with a realtor or a stager or a redesigner, it's other income. And I personally, I want to glean everything I can possibly get. So bottom line is, why would you take this on? You take this on because you want the revenue. Okay, so do not try to do both the staging and the organizing together. Can you do it? Of course you can. And you probably know realtors out there. There's an awful lot of realtors these days that tell their clients, oh, I'll do the real estate and the staging. But they're different levels of expertise. So when you look at the top left picture and then the bottom right picture, could I get that room decluttered? Absolutely. But really, being very honest with you, I could never make that room look like the bottom right. I don't have that skill set and I don't have that talent. So I like to say, stick to your own strengths. A stager absolutely needs what an organizer can do if the homeowners either cannot or unwilling to do it. Bernie doesn't want to walk into that room up on the top left and deal with the possession. She doesn't want to deal with the decluttering. She doesn't want to deal with the extraneous. She doesn't want to tell a client, that paper really needs to go into, a vault, or your vital documents. This needs to be shredded. This needs to be recycled. That's not her job. Her job is the bottom right picture. So, and then, like I mentioned before, once I get the room to function and it has everything that the client truly wants, needs, and loves, I don't have that skill set to bring it up to the level that Bernadette can.
Okay, so how do you connect? That's the critical piece, and that's what our Ready Stage Move philosophy is all about. It's really about developing those key strategic partnerships that are going to allow you to connect to other individuals, that will allow you to expand your revenue streams and be able to take on projects such as the ones we described today, that are just honestly, at the end of the day, fun. Yeah, it's just fun to be able to allow you to continue to use your skill set, but yet be able to also work with someone else and generate additional income. So how do you connect? To the left, we indicated some of the organizations that we had mentioned earlier. The National Association of Realtors, the National Association of Professional Organizers, and last, the Real Estate Staging Association. All of these wonderful organizations will help you make those connections, or at least help identify where to make those connections with the individuals that you can come together with in creating your team. You want to ask other homeowners, interior designers, perhaps, realtors, stagers, all of the things that are described there, as attorneys and contractors, junk removal companies. Jean Marie and I happen to be meeting with a moving company today. We're going to have a conversation. How can we work together? How can we help each other? And so it's so important to be able to expand your resource list, not just for yourself, but for your clients. So I think that those are the kinds of things that you have to think about in order, where do you begin this process of connecting with other individuals?
Yep. Ask. Ask for the work, ask for the relationship. I don't care if you walk into real estate offices. I don't care if you go to networking events. You want to align yourself with those professions who could use our services. So the big question is ask. So we're just about at the end of our webinar here, and we just wanted to tell you that we always offer a promotion at the end, but I think everybody on this call, I'm not sure, but we'll go through it anyways. So we have a lovely product called our Ready Stage Move system. It's a kit. It comes with a 20-page how-to guide and a USB stick, basically of all our intellectual property on how to put this triad of a real estate agent, an organizer, and a stager together for the goal of getting a home sold quicker, in a faster turnaround, and for more profit. We want our clients to get the most equity out of their home as possible. And when you align these three professions together, you can do that with a home. So with the Ready Stage Move system, not only do you formulate this strategic partnership, but you learn in the how-to guide and with our documents on how to put the system together. So we offer that at a discount of $199. It normally sells on our website for $249. So for the next 2 weeks, if you know anybody that would like to take advantage of our promotion, you can have them just go to that little tiny address right down there on the bottom of the page.
There was a question asked not too long ago about the items that are available, the templates and presentations and so forth. Those are absolutely customizable, and they can the documents can be identified with your own logo, your own brand. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So that's really just an important point to clarify, that people can use them and certainly continue to promote this Ready Stage Move process using their own identifying branding, which is really important.
Okay. So we have scheduled our next webinar for September 18th. The topic is to be determined. So look for our newsletter over the summer and we'll be giving you more information.
We're so happy you joined us today. Ready Stage Move for us is just a way to be able to help others in our respective industries develop relationships and be able to come together as strategic partners to just build and grow your businesses individually and collectively. So I think we just want to be sure that everyone knows that this is truly a way to do that, to be able to take your business to the next level. So we're just wondering now this morning if anybody happens to have any questions that they'd like to ask. We'd be absolutely delighted to be able to talk about that now.
Okay, so send them in if you like. Otherwise, we hope you learned lots and lots, and we hope you go out there and keep developing all your strategic partnerships and generate more and more revenue income. Anybody have anything?
Michelle asked, how do you know what to charge your clients? That's really a great question. And that certainly will be based on what you may charge for perhaps a consultation in your local market. I think you'll want to keep it probably around, the same, what the market will bear. Jean Marie and I came together and talked about what it was that would best appeal to our client, certainly. But also, I think we had to think about how does that sit with what we generate, each of us generate individually. Mm-hmm. And so we still want to be able to make money. So I think that that's what you have to think about. You have to think about what your consultation fee is, in this case, individually or alone, and then come together and decide, what the value of what you bring as a team, what that, kind of equates to monetarily, and also, but at the same time, will still be appealing enough to your client. I think this always comes down to, and I don't care if you're trying to teach other realtors or teach other strategic partners. When you go to a realtor and you're dealing with them, because it just so happens that today it's really about the organizer and stager. It's all about educating. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this lots and lots of times, and it's really about educating the value of what it is that you're bringing to the table. And I think then that lends itself to less price sensitivity. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes,
Jean-Marie?
yes. And just remember that, especially in the case of today's webinar, you're sending in two professionals, not just one. So whether you think about quote unquote doubling it, because there's two of you, and you have to figure out, how you want to work that out. And the other thing I say simply, and maybe this is very juvenile for me to say, but you don't want to be resentful either. You don't want to give away the house. And right now, I know at least in the organizing world, our industry is becoming pretty popular. A lot of people know what we do, and the industry is growing in leaps and bounds. And there's a lot of folks out there that are really cutting their prices. And there's a lot of folks doing organizing besides the individual entrepreneur. Whether you walk into the Container Store or there's a couple other big corporations out there that are giving out organizing jobs, if you will, for a lot less than what your private organizer is charging. But you have to remember that you are two experts going into a professional situation, and what your client is getting are twice the expertise. So make sure whatever you charge, you feel comfortable that you're being compensated fairly, or it's not going to work.
Yeah, and Jean Marie made a really good point. There's a lot of companies out there that are not just doing that, or kind of entrepreneurs or other organizations that are putting other quote unquote experts out there, I'm running into the same issues as it relates to design companies. You've got your Crate and Barrels, and you've got your Ethan Allen's, and you've got all of these other all of these other retail companies that are choosing to throw in for free, quote unquote, a in-house designer to come and help you with your spaces. Not, and you never really know what their level of experience or expertise is. So you're being challenged by that as well. So anyway, I guess at the end, the moral of that particular story is that you just want to be able to position yourself well, to be able to know your business well, and to be able to feel comfortable if you're going to do any sort of team experience, that you're going to want to make sure that you are compensated fairly. I think that's important.
Okay, so we have another question. When you are bringing your services to a stager or realtor and they are referring you business, do you give them a referral fee or split profit? I think this is a personal decision. I know for myself whether I either receive a referral from somebody or I give a referral. My only thinking both ways is I either want to do a bang up job for the customer, or if I'm referring somebody I know to a client, I want that person to do a great job. I want them to be professional. I want them to return phone calls. I want them to return emails. I want them to do a great job. I actually rarely work with referral fees, but people feel very differently. I think it's different when you work with, say a contractor or a closet company or, a floor person. But in this circle of realtor, organizer, and stager, I don't see a lot of referral fees being passed. Do you, Bernie?
It is a very personal decision. It was interesting because I just was reading on, I happened to be reading on LinkedIn, and that was one of the questions. How do you address the referral fee situation between, your complementary industries? And I think you have to decide, what works for you. And what you feel comfortable. But whatever that decision is, make that decision up front, so there isn't any unrealistic expectation on one or other person's end. Because I think what happens is then there's some sort of discussion. Well, I was expecting you to pay me a referral fee, and then it can become very uncomfortable. So I think that's really important. Whatever that decision is, make it collectively, and also make sure that there is a very realistic and clear expectation of what is what's supposed to happen.
And if you decide that there's no money's going to be exchanged, that doesn't mean do nothing. And what I mean by that is you still need to show appreciation. Again, whether it's putting them as a resource of the month on your newsletter, whether it's sending them flowers, sending them a personal note, getting them a gift card. You still, again, you want to show appreciation, even if you're not dealing with specifically a referral fee. We have another question.
If you're working with more than one stager and realtor, that is absolutely right. That can certainly come into play there.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. For example, just to give you one last example, in the world of contractors, this is something that they just do. So, for example, if I'm working with a contractor and they are going to go in, and I refer them to a particular client who's going to paint, who requires painting for this particular project, what's going to happen is that contractor will typically say, okay, I'm going to put together the proposal, and basically you're talking, that you're going to get 10% of what they're going to charge overall, or they'll incorporate that into the proposal price or something of that effect. And so it's just a real kind of natural way of handling it. You have basically provided them with a job that they didn't have to solicit themselves, and as a result, they're going to pay you for it. And the way they do that is by giving you a percentage of the proposal cost. So that's just their world. It's very different, perhaps in the way we handle it, but that's how they handle it. So maybe there can be some variation on the theme depending on, what you're comfortable with, I think.
Okay. So once again, thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to our next webinar on September 18th.
Have a
great
wonderful
weekend.
day. All the best. Bye-bye.
For more information, please visit our website at readystagemove.com.